Okay, so we are Perek Zayin, Pasuk Chet. Tov acharit davar mereshito. The end of something is always better than its beginning. Tov erech ruach, and better is the one that is erech ruach is patient, right? Mi gevah ruach, then someone that is very reactive. Okay, quick to react. And here, okay, we're going to dive a little bit. So what does that mean? The end is always better than its beginning. Why? Because at the end, you have clarity. In the beginning, when you start something, you never know how it's going to unravel, where it's going to end up. You think, or you would like something that you start to end up a certain way, but the reality is we never know whether it's good or not. So, says Shlomo HaMelech, clarity, no matter what the end, at the end, you know what that thing is going to be. It's good or bad, it doesn't matter. But at least you have clarity. Says Shlomo HaMelech, clarity is definitely better than what? Than something that's unclear, than suspense. Suspense that is, let's be careful, we're talking about the Reshit, we're talking about the beginning. A suspense that is fueled by the imagination, the optimistic imagination of a person. Okay? So you're better off having a difficult, real fact in front of you than being delusional in the beginning. Even though in the beginning you're full of spark and of dedication. In the beginning, everybody's always very motivated, excited, right?
But it's not realistic to think that it's not realistic to think that you can know the end. You have to go through the process. Correct.
So Shlomo HaMelech tells us, be careful. Okay? And why? And based on that message, that what? That the end is better than the beginning. How do you get to that? Tov erech ruach. It's better to be patient than to be impatient, than to be, I guess, haughty, to be reactive, to be
anxious.
Yeah.
Why? The Metzudat David says something amazing. He says, what's the difference between someone that's patient, and someone that's haughty? Someone that's what's the right definition? I think haughty is the right definition. It's reactive, impatient. The words that Shlomo HaMelech uses geva ruach, meaning egocentric. Somebody that has a high ruach, somebody that thinks of himself. Why is it better? I'm sorry?
Arrogant.
So it says Shlomo HaMelech something amazing. First, before the Metzudat David, Seforno. The Seforno tells us what's the difference between the two. Let's define the one that's patient versus the one that's arrogant and impatient. The one that's patient and that's it takes long to get him upset. Okay. It's also difficult for him to let go when he's upset. It's somebody that's very, very truthful to his emotions. So it takes him very long, to shift him from being calm to being upset. But once he gets upset, it's very hard for him to let go. Versus what? Versus the egocentric, the arrogant, the impatient, which can quickly be upset and quickly forget. So if we were to ask, what's better? Which behavior is better? Is it better to get upset quickly but to forget quickly and move on? Or not to get upset so quickly, but when you're upset, it's very hard to change the person's mind. What's better?
You need both, the best of both worlds.
No. So Vadai, that we know the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, and that it's better to be hard to get upset and easy to appease. That's for sure. But that's not the question that we're asking right now. Shlomo HaMelech is comparing two people. The one that's hard to get upset, but hard to appease versus the one that's quickly to get upset and quick to appease. So if I was to ask what's better, so I asked my daughter on Shabbat. So she told me, so me big hidush. She says the one that's quick to be upset and quick to recover, right? He's really always upset. He's always ready to be upset. So his appeasement is never a real appeasement. Because it's just, the appeasement is just like, she told me it's just for him to calm down to get upset again.
That's a better answer than I could have even thought of.
That's the hidush of my daughter on Shabbat. The neshama yetera of Shabbat of my daughter.
That's beautiful.
That's what the Seforno puts. So the Shlomo HaMelech says you're better off being hard to get upset, but when you're upset, it sticks. It's hard to appease you. Then the other way around. Now, that's not what you should do. Huh? That's the comparison of the two. So says the Metzudat David something amazing. He said, "What does that have to do with the beginning of the pasuk? What does that have to do with the end is better than the beginning?" So Metzudat David explains, and he says, when you're quick to get upset and quick to appease, you're always at a state of beginning. You can never let something come to fruition. Everything sparks you. So everything is a new beginning. You're always at the stage of beginning. And so what does that mean? That means that you can never get to clarity. You can never get to clarity because everything sparks in you a new beginning, a new emotion. Versus someone that is much more stable, that will allow himself to see the end result. So comes the Metzudat David with an amazing lesson based on this pasuk. We know that Chachamim say, Kol atchalot kashot. All the beginnings are difficult. Chachamim tell us, Aval rak atchalot kashot. The difficulty is only the beginning. If you're able to pass that stage of beginning, then the period of difficulty is behind you. The problem is that people never pass that stage. Like the Metzudat David said, you're so reactive, you're so dependent on your emotions that you never pass that stage of beginning. So it's always difficult. It's always difficult. Where if you are patient enough and you are stable enough and strong enough emotionally, and that's the secret, then quickly you pass the beginning and you can get to the end. Doesn't matter what the end is. Fundamental message that Shlomo HaMelech teaches us. Good?
Yes.
Okay. אל תבהל ברוחך לכעוס, כי כעס בחיק כסילים ינוח. Don't be quick to be angry. Don't be quick to be angry. Don't let the anger sit in you. Ki ka'as, because you should know that the ka'as b'hek kesilim yanuach. So there's a few answers. There's a few explanations. Or it means don't express something that too quickly, too instinctively, because it will sit in a pocket. It will stay with you and become part of you. So if you allow a reaction, that will, in this case, or we talk about anger, or we could also talk about sadness. If you let darkness, sadness, pessimism, anger, okay, be a reaction, it ends up becoming part of you. That is, it becomes something you carry that will then be an easy grasp, an easy trait to use in any situation. But that only is referred to what traits that are negative: anger, sadness, confusion, being pessimist.
Can I ask a practical question about this?
Sure.
In terms of how to, if you find yourself slipping into a sadness, slipping into an anger, how do you not let it sit within you?
Okay, so everybody faces sadness. Everybody faces moment of chaos, of anger. Okay, there's a huge difference between somebody that's facing it and dealing with it, okay, and understanding it, why he got upset, and what triggered it, than somebody that's just taking that emotion as a cop out of a situation. A lot of people, not to deal with a situation that's stressful, will choose to be pessimist, will choose to react as of anger as a defense mechanism. This is what Shlomo Melech is talking about. If you're facing a situation that's difficult at work, your easy way out is to be pessimist or to get angry at everybody and dump the responsibility on the others. When you behave like this, you become like this. You become like this. The Metzudat David and the Sefer Note both explain that it starts with what? It starts with a facial expression. If you allow that emotion to be shown on your face, you are already in a position of weakness to allow that emotion to become part of you.
Wow.
To that, we know that Yaakov Avinu was punished when he met Paro. Paro looks at him and he tells him, "How old are you?" So the Chachamim explain what type of question is that. He looked so bad, his face looked so bad, that Paro couldn't believe that a man would live so long. He looked like he was much, much older than his real age. And Yaakov tells him, "Oh, only if you knew. I had many years of darkness and a little bit of happiness." He was punished for that. I'll tell you another story. A story with Rabbi Israel Misalant. Rabbi Israel Misalant was a student of Rav Chaim from Volozhin, who was a student of the Gaon Vilna. One day, he goes, it's Rosh Hashanah, I believe, and he goes inside the shul, inside the synagogue, to be about to start the prayers. And he sees someone that is, if I'm not mistaken, is Rabbi Yitzchak Meltzer. He sees someone, I don't want to say, he sees someone that is very serious, he has a very, very painful, you see the person has a lot of pain in his face. So he tells him, he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Hey." So he told him, "What do you mean what's going on? It's Rosh Hashanah." So Rabbi Israel Misalan tells him, "You want me to suffer for your pain of Rosh Hashanah? Keep your pain for yourself. Why do I have to look at you and suffer seeing all this pain in your face and carry that with me on my Rosh Hashanah? It's not enough that I have to deal with my issues, that I have to deal with your issues now." This is the impact of the face. The same thing, Chachamim tell us. Gadol mashke shinav lechavero mimashkeu. Gadol malbin shinav lechavero mimashkeu halav. Greater the merit is to the one that shows his white teeth to his friend than to give him milk to drink at the time of thirst. The impact that you can have when you smile to someone is incredible. You can bring it, you bring out so much life, and you can help someone so much just by showing him your teeth, by smiling to him. When you smile to someone, you acknowledge his existence. But when you carry your burden on your face, you become a chassid case. Nobody wants to be around you. Why? Because it's contagious. When you're next to someone that's pessimist, that has a bad energy, you feel it. It becomes part of you. So people don't want to be. They don't want to be around negativity. So says Shlomo HaMelech, practically, you should know that trait of negativity starts sitting and becoming part of you. It's something you carry with you in your pocket when you allow it to arise and be expressed on your face. And the connection is that this is what brings a person to become Geva Ruach. A person that's arrogant, a person that's insensitive. What's arrogance? It's insensitivity, right? When you're an arrogant person, somebody that's completely insensitive to his surrounding. When you become like this, when you start by being insensitive to the people around you and the emotion you bring out. So it can start from a place of pain. Insensitivity, arrogance, bitterness, aggressivity doesn't have to start from there. It can start simply from a point of insensitivity where I want to carry my pain on my face. And who cares? You're not happy? Too bad. Walk away. Don't look at me.
Right.
That's where it starts. That's the root of it. Pasuk Yud.
How come he doesn't say Gam Ze Chevel about anger?
That's a good point. I think that it's a good point. It's a good point. It's a good point. Let's see. It's a good point. I have to look into it. פסוק י' אל תאמר מה היה שהימים הראשונים היו טובים מאלה כי לא מחוכמה שאלת על זה. Do not complain, don't be complacent and say, look at the times before, it was so good. We have it the hard way today. I wish, I could live at the times of my father, of my grandfather, at the time of David HaMelech, at the time of Shlomo HaMelech, at the time of the Bet HaMikdash. Don't run away. Basically, Shlomo HaMelech says, don't run away from what you're facing by thinking that the other side of the fence is greener, has greener grass. Don't complain. How? Meaning, don't run away from today by saying that yesterday was better. And if yesterday was better, it's obvious that today it will be difficult, and this is why I'm failing. This is why I'm upset. This is why I'm sad. This is why I'm pessimist. Because what can you want? Those great days are past. This reflection doesn't come from wisdom. Doesn't come from a place of chokhmah. Meaning, the chokhmah, says the Sforno, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't change unless you do an action that forces a change. Very important message the Sforno learns from this pasuk. If you face something that's difficult, and before it was easy, it became difficult because of actions that led to difficulty. Let's not forget that we are under the sun. And what dictates is what? Is your action. Your action create a dynamic that will allow or trigger the nature or the will of Hashem that is in the nature to react a certain way. So if it was easy in the past, if it was really easy in the past, it's because the actions were good. It's difficult today. Ask yourself why it's difficult today. Instead of crying for the milk that is spilled, for what it was in the past. That's what the Sefer tells us. And if you're not able to take full responsibility and understand why your actions led to a difficulty, then you're not using your chokhmah. You're not being a chacham. And this is why Tova Chokhmah im Nahala. Pasuk Yud Aleph. Now you see Shlomo HaMelech is building. And so what do you need? You need Chokhmah in order to be faced the situation that you're in, analyze it properly, understand what triggered a moment of difficulty, fix it so that you don't fall into pessimism that becomes a bad nature, that allows you to become so insensitive, that leads you to what? To completely lose focus on the ability to bring something to fruition, right? That's what we've said all the way. If we go back from Pasuk Yud Aleph all the way to Chet, that's what's happening. So we need Chokhmah. So say Shlomo HaMelech, Tova Chokhmah. You know when the Chokhmah is good. Im Nahala. When you have the Nahala. What does it mean, Nahala? Nahala has can be understood from two different angles. Nahala can mean with a history. With an history.
It's like inheritance?
With an inheritance, exactly. With inheritance. What does that mean? I mean, if you build your chokhmah on your own, if you're on a quest of chokhmah, your chokhmah will never be something that's face value, like engraved in stone. Because you're in a journey that allows you to discover the chokhmah. So it's trial, and fail. Some chokhmah you think is chokhmah, you're going to end up learning later on that it was not chokhmah. And others, you're going to define, you're going to say, you know what, this is a rule of thumb, this is real.
It's like the notebook that you have.
However, if you have chokhmah that is based on a heritage, it's the message that you were taught by your parents, by your grandparents, by the elders, by the Torah, by the Chachamim. If this is where you get the Torah, now the Chokhmah is tov. Now you have great Chokhmah. Now you have a Chokhmah that you can apply, that you can use, that will protect you, that will guide you, that will bring you clarity. Veyoter, and it's even more valuable, Leroe Hashamesh, to the ones that look to the sun. The ones that look to the sun are under the sun, but are aiming towards the sun. Meaning, if you want to be productive successful under the sun, while your eyes, while the direction, while your vision, while you're aiming towards the sun, if you wanted that success, you need that chokhmah. Meaning, if you want to grow spiritually, you want to grow emotionally, you want to build a heritage, you want to build a future, you want to be able to get to above the sun, you need the proper chokhmah. Which chokhmah is proper? Chokhmah in nahala. Chokhmah with heritage, that is bulletproof already, that has been already vetted. And which chokhmah is greater than the chokhmah Torah? The second understanding of this, what is chokhmah im nachala? Chokhmah im nachala, says the Sefer No, chokhmah with money. When you apply your chokhmah and you're able to have money, to make money from it, you're successful financially, it gives you strength. It's like Torah in derech eretz. It gives you strength. It gives you a stability. It gives you the ability to get out of a stressful situation and gives you the ability to think. When a person is under financial stress, it's very hard for him to think properly, because he has to battle, he has to survive. But when you're able to have financial stability, says the Sefer No, then your chokhmah becomes very valuable to you. Then you can apply your chokhmah. And the Sefer No brings re'ayot. He says the Avot HaKadoshim, the patriarchs, they had a business. They were wealthy. Yaakov was wealthy. Yitzhak was wealthy. Abraham was wealthy. They all had money. Why? If you're such a man of God, why would you have money?
To allow yourself to be free of anything so that you could learn Torah properly.
Bravo. Alleviate the pressure of existing financially in order to be able to apply your chokhmah when you need it the most.
Beautiful.
When, like we just said, when you're in a place where you want to cop out, you're in a difficult time and you want to run away, so you want to react a certain way, push everybody back with anger, or being so pessimist that there's not going to be a follow-up. A time where you need to stand in front of a situation and tackle it and deal with it. You need that chokhmah. But that chokhmah is only available to you, to your control, if you don't have to think and fight to make sure that there's food on your table. That's the yesod of the Sefer No. Two beautiful messages. Ve'yoter lero'ei hashamesh, says the Sefer No. So what does it mean, ve'yoter lero'ei hashamesh? The ones that are busy with their parnasah, that are working to have parnasah, their chokhmah is also applied there. So when you have chokhmah and you're under the sun and you can apply it, you will have more success than the others. So you're in a snowball effect. You have the wisdom, you apply it in business, you see success. So now you have more chokhmah, you have more time for your chokhmah, because you have less reason to stress. You have less reason to stress, you apply more of the chokhmah, you're more successful, and to the point where your success is a growing engine, is in a growing dynamic, but as it grows, your chokhmah grows and is more free and in your control to apply also to situations that are difficult, to the point where it's not only difficult situations you face, is that you can now become helpful and help others deal with situations they cannot face. And I want to open a parenthesis. I think this pasuk, according to the Sefer No, is the definition of Stanley Chira alav shalom. That's his definition. Today we found the pasuk that defines exactly who he was. He was a man that applied his wisdom to success, but controlling and growing his wisdom to the point where he became an abundance of wisdom, not for himself, but for everybody else around him. He was the guy that you go to solve problems. You have a lot of smart people around. But Baruch Hashem, he was able to generate beracha under the sun and free his wisdom and grow his wisdom. He grow his chokhmah to apply it for others and help them. We found the pasuk.
Baruch Hashem.
Ki betzel ha-chokhmah, pasuk Yud Bet. Ki betzel ha-chokhmah, betzel ha-kasef. The shadow, right? The shadow, betzel is shadow, right? The shadow of the chokhmah is where also you find the shadow of the money. So this is okay. The cell, it's not really cell can mean shadow, but cell is also what you go under in order to be protected from the sun. A cell is, when it's very hot outside, you go under the shadow of the tree to breathe, to be able to, to rejuvenate, to find strength. Yonah, the whole story of Yonah going under the tree. Deborah received her nevuah under the tree. Avraham Avinu received his nevuah from that tree. So comes the protection, the beauty, the sheltering, the cell of the chokhmah, meaning the rejuvenation, the benefit of the chokhmah comes when there's a benefit of money. When you're able to benefit from the money, be careful, benefit from the money, not have the money, but benefit from it. The same way when a person is very tired and very hot, he needs to go under the shadow, right? To refresh himself. When the money is refreshing, is giving you time to breathe, it's giving you life, it's giving you the opportunity to be ragua, to be calm. This is where you find the cell, also the benefit of the chokhmah. A rewarding of, or an explanation of the pasuk Yud Aleph. Ve'yitron da'at. And this is where you grow and you take advantage of your intelligence, of your da'at. Ha-chokhmah tehayyeh be'aleha. And that's when the chokhmah gives life and opportunity of tremendous growth to its owners. Meaning, you can have chokhmah, you can possess chokhmah, you can own chokhmah, but in order to apply it, in order to benefit from it, in order to share it, it needs to be something that is free from the basic vital needs. Again, everybody has different level of needs. Okay, there's no one fit for all, right? Everybody needs other things to exist. Some it's just food, others they need a house, others they need a secondary house, others they need a private jet. Each one has their own needs. Obviously, we're talking about the real needs. We're not talking about what you believe you need. Okay? So if you're able to have, this financial security that benefits you, that gives you that fresh feeling of satisfaction, that gives you the ability to be alive, that gives you access to your chokhmah. And once you have access to your chokhmah, then you have the ability to grow and benefit from your intelligence, from your da'at. And that's how chokhmah tehayed be'aleha. That's how the chokhmah brings life to a person. Good? We're swimming, okay, here. It's a build-up from Pasuk Chet. It's a build-up. So if you have financial stability, you can use your chokhmah. If you can use your chokhmah, you can develop your chokhmah. You can benefit from your chokhmah. You become alive. You can deal with situations that are difficult and understand why. And if you understand that, then you don't fall into the negative reactions who lead you to be a reactive person who ends up putting you in a place where you can never leave the dynamic of a beginning. And you're always stuck in difficulties. And that brings you another benefit, says Shlomo HaMelech. Pasuk Yud Gimel. ראה את מעשה האלוקים, כי מי יוכל לתקן את אשר עיוותו? He says, now, let's go back. What was your problem? Your problem was, look at what used to be. It used to be good, right? Now it's bad. You're running away from the situation. You're running away from the fact. Why? What did we say? Because you don't have the chokhmah. When you have the chokhmah, what's the benefit? It's pasuk Yud Gimel. Re'eh et ma'aseh Elokim. Now see the actions of Hashem. See the dynamic of Hashem in nature. See how nature, the actions of Hashem, they dictate the nature, the situation that you're facing. Mi yuchal letaken. Who can fix it? Is there anyone that can fix it? Et asher iveto. Hashem twisted it. Hashem made it that way. So what do you expect? You think that who can change situations that are brought upon a person, but with the Shem Elokim, with the name Elokim? So you basically, what Shlomo HaMelech is telling us in one shot is you look at the situation the way it is, you deal with it, you understand that Hashem brought it to you and it's twisted. Why? Because your actions were twisted, but now you're dealing with it. The other pshat is that you understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in control. You understand with your chokhmah that there is an end result because you can see the end. And therefore, even if it's something that looks twisted to you, you accept it because you're not stuck in a situation. You understand that there is a bigger plan. There is for sure a good end at the end. So you're not gonna react to the situation that seems twisted to you. You're gonna accept it. You're gonna internalize it. You're gonna learn from it. You're gonna adapt your agility towards it and see how to go about it. But you're not gonna get stuck. You're not gonna react. You're not gonna question. You're not gonna try to run away. This is the benefit, and it's amazing, but this is the benefit of using your chokhmah to have a financial stability to be able to use your chokhmah.
Rav, what's the thought behind anybody saying that they should be learning all day and not pursue parnasa then?
So, okay. So there is, it's a very, very sensitive question. Okay. You need, you need people, not everybody can do it, but you have scholars that need to sit and learn Torah for the ones that don't.
I understand.
Okay, so you have to create. David HaMelech alav shalom
It's just a
himself
balance.
Had warriors that went to war and had Talmidei Chachamim that sat down and learned.
Because the warriors didn't have time to study, and so it's a balance.
Correct. You have the same thing with Issachar and Zevulun. Issachar was learning. Zevulun
but he had the equal share.
Was on his boats training.
Yes.
The problem that Zevulun learned, but he couldn't learn as much as he wanted to learn. Why? Because he was busy trading. He was always on the boats. He was always on the roads, always traveling. And you cannot learn properly when you travel. You don't have you don't have access to books. You're dependent on the trade, on who you meet. It's very complicated. So the tribe of Zevulun made a deal with Issachar and told Issachar, look, you sit down, you learn, and you will benefit the world with the Torah we should be learning, the extra Torah that we should be learning that we cannot. Now, that doesn't mean that Zebulun did not learn Torah. They did. But the full bucket, the full obligation of learning Torah that they had, right? There's a minimum that they learned. The rest was transferred to Issachar.
And on a practical level, I read yesterday actually in the Navi in Yehoshua that one of the pesukim we derive, the Rambam derives that we should set out time in the morning and we should set out time to learn Torah.
Okay.
Is that the kind of threshold minimal obligation? Is that where is the actual obligation that we derive from the Torah?
So the obligation is when you say Shema in the morning and you say Shema at night, you made your obligation. You met your obligation of learning Torah.
That's it.
That's it. That if you talk about obligation.
No, I like to know the levels.
There's no level. The level is depending on you.
Right.
There's no. For some people it's one halakha a day. For people it's one.
Why would we have a system that only gives us that as a bare minimum? Meaning, why wouldn't the bare minimum be higher for us?
So the bare minimum, okay, has to be factoring the person that won't do nothing.
So bringing the weighted average down.
That's it.
I understand.
So yeah. Imagine all those people that are so unaffiliated. I want to deal with it. But you tell them, you know what, just say Shema in the morning. Shema Yisrael, Shema Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Baruch Hu, and say at night, and you're good. At least there's something. At least there's a spark of Torah.
I understand.
But
don't worry, I'm not going backwards. I'm just asking.
No, the benefit of Issachar and Zevulun goes all the way to a place where Issachar comes before Zevulun. Understand?
Yep.
In order, Nechaura, you have the Torah, and then you have Zevulun. Then you have the thing, right? That's the order of importance. But if you look at the Torah, and if you look at the attention the Torah gives to Zevulun is more important than Issachar.
Right. We also saw it with Yehoshua when he first became the leader of the people. They said very clearly, the people said very clearly to him, "We're with you as long as Hashem is with you." Meaning, you have to continue your pursuits of spiritual learning of the Torah, because that keeps you with Hashem. But
Yeah.
unless if you stop, we're gone. So meaning his job as a leader was dependent on his spiritual growth in Torah.
But that's for everything. That's for everything. It's the problem is that today, for many different reasons that we don't need to address right now, the Torah lost its credibility, its true aura, its vitality, and true place in the world, in communities, in Am Yisrael. It became, it became what it became. It became a book of history, a book of knowledge, or parasites. If you in Israel, they tell you parasites, the people that learn Torah. It's to each their own way of dealing with the Torah. That's because people became totalists, sectarian. So they only give legitimation to the ones that can coexist with their own identity and what they believe in and the ideology. And if you don't understand the real value of Torah, Torah is not just, it's not something else. The Torah is a reality that's unrevocable, undisputable. Undisputable. You cannot go away from it. If you understand that, then you understand the true place of the Torah. You know, there is a very, very important man. I mean, important man in Panama. I'm sure you know him, Victor Azrak. Victor Azrak is a man that helps a lot to Torah. He gives a lot to yeshivot. So I was once with him in Panama. So he told me, he said, you know why I give so much to yeshivot? It's a hard sell. He said, go give to kids that are sick, to Magen David Adom, to the army, to food fund. That touches everybody. It's very easy. It's very easy to give to these causes. But go give to Torah, to somebody that sits and learns all day. It's a very hard sell. So I want to make sure that this is where I give. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
And he puts things in perspective. It's true. It's true.
Of the way it's viewed today.
Today, obviously, today.
Yeah,
today.
of course.
Today. But Lule, if people understood the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, if people really understood the beauty of the Torah, they'd be jumping and going crazy. They would go out of their mind every time they said the word of Torah. The father of the Rambam says that he brought to the world the Rambam because of one Perek Tehillim. Perek Tehillim Tzadi, Tefillah LeMoshe. That's why he called him Moshe. Tefillah LeMoshe Isha Elokim. Why? He said that was his Tehillim. Maimon had one Tehillim. Tefillah LeMoshe. But he understood, he was so connected to this Tehillim. He writes that if people understood the power of that Tehillim, they would take all their money and make crowns of gold and diamonds on each letter, for each letter. That's how powerful and how amazing that Tehillim is.
Wow.
And you see just the love for one Tehillim. Tefillah LeMoshe, Hashem sent him Moshe Rabbeinu of his generation. Sent him Rav Moshe Bar Maimon, the Rambam.
Wow.
You understand? So it's the impact, the beauty, the power of the Torah in your life is reflected on how much you want to see it and you want to let it come into you.
It's a nice way to end.
טוב. שבוע טוב.
ברוך השם.
My
שבוע טוב.
pleasure. בעזרת
All the best.
Thank you so much. Love you. Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Thank you for today. Thank you.